अष्टोत्तरशतश्रीमद् श्रील भक्ति वेदांत नारायण गोस्वामी महाराज श्रील गुरुदेव की जय। नितिल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तरशतश्रीमद् श्रील भक्ति वेदांत वामन गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तरशतश्रीमद् श्रील भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। नितिल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तरशतश्रीमद् श्रील भक्ति प्रज्ञान केशव गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। नितिल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तरशतश्रीमद् श्रील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। नितिल प्रविष्ट महाभागवत श्रील गोक्षर बाबूजी महाराज की जय। नितिल प्रविष्ट श्रील सच्चिदानंद भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जय। नितिल प्रविष्ट वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्रील जगन्नाथ दास बाबूजी महाराज की जय। श्री रूप नु गौरीय गुरु वर्ग की जय। श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल पतदास रघुनाथ शार गोसाई प्रभु की जय। श्री स्वरूप दामोदर राय रामानंदारी श्री गौर पार्षद वृंद की जय। नाम अक्षय श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार शिवासरी गौर वृंद की जय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल व्रज मंडल मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय। सर्व अभिष्ट विदग्ध गिरिराज महाराज की जय। श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड की जय। श्री मुनि देवी गंगा देवी की जय। श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जय। श्री भक्ति देवी की जय। श्री पूर्णमासी योगमाय की जय। श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जय। श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। समागत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। श्री नृसिंह भगवान की जय। भक्त प्रभा श्री प्रहलाद महाराज की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद्-भागवतम की जय। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय राधिकाय प्रियात्मने श्रीमद्भक्तिवेदान्त नारायणीति नामिने। नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। गुरुवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकाय तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। यं प्रव्रजन्तम् अनुपेतमपेतकृत्यं द्वैपायनो विरहकातर आजुहाव पुत्रेति तन्मयतया तरवोऽभिनेदुस्तं सार्वभूतहृदयमुनिमानतोऽस्मि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। शृण्वतं स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तन हृदन्तस्तो ह्यभद्राणि विधुनोति सुहृत्सतम्। नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भागवतुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। तवैवास्मि न जीवामि त्वया विना इति विज्ञाय राधे त्वां नायमां चरणन्तिकम्। भक्त्या विहीन अपराधलक्षाय क्षिप्ताष्टकामादितरङ्गमध्ये कृपामयि त्वं शरणं प्रपन्ना वृन्दे नमस्ते चरणारविन्दम्। भज श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Dandavat pranams, Rup Manjari Didi and Ganga Didi. Dandavat pranams. I wonder where everybody else is. Anyhow. And I know probably Raseshwari Mataji will be watching later. And Indira Mataji, she's catching up. She's almost caught up and she'll be joining us again regularly. Okay. Drishta wait, sorry, I didn't do the recap. 1 second, where is it? Here. What the heck, I just had it open. There, okay. So, Prahlad Maharaj was so angry, and he's so angry that nobody dared to approach Nrsingadev. Even Lakshmi Devi couldn't approach Nrsingadev. So then Brahma requested Prahlad to go forward and appease him. And Prahlad proceeded toward the Lord and fell at his feet to offer obeisances. And then Prahlad then Nrsingadev put his hand on, let's read this. Then when the small boy Prahlad prostrated at the soles of his feet, Lord Nrsingadev saw him and became overwhelmed with affection for him. Raising Prahlad, the Lord placed his lotus hand on the boy's head, because his hand creates fearlessness to those whose minds are afraid of the snake of time. Then by the touch of the Lord's hand, Prahlad was completely freed of all material contamination. He immediately manifested realization of the Supreme Soul, and he captured the Lord's lotus feet within the core of his heart, and his body showed ecstatic symptoms. His heart was softened with love, and his eyes with tears. Prahlad began his prayers to Hari with a focused mind and full attention, with love and a faltering voice, by fixing his heart on the sight of Lord Nrsingadev. Then Prahlad prepares himself to offer prayers. How can I satisfy you when the Devas and Munis failed to satisfy you? Prahlad said, great demigods headed by Brahma, great sages and perfected beings who are immersed in full goodness and who praised with streams of excellent words could not satisfy the Lord up till now, although they are well qualified. So then how is it possible for me, who have been born in a family of demons, to offer suitable prayers to satisfy him? So then the link to the next verse. Having said that sattva, the mode of goodness, and vachasam pravaha, eloquent praises, are not sufficient to please the Lord, Prahlad will enumerate other external qualifications by which one cannot satisfy the Lord. Only bhakti can please him. I consider wealth, so no material qualification could satisfy you, only bhakti can. I consider wealth, an aristocratic family, beauty, austerity, education, sensory expertise, luster, influence, physical strength, diligence, intelligence, and mystic power, not as qualifications by which one can satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No, none of these are qualifications. One can only satisfy him by devotional service. He was satisfied by the king of elephants who had devotion. A low-born devotee is better than a Brahmin non-devotee. Oh, this is the famous verse. If a Brahmin has all the 12 Brahminical qualifications, and the 12 qualifications of a Brahmin mentioned in the Sanat Sujata are knowledge, truth, mind control, sense control, hearing, detachment, shyness, tolerance, non-envy, sacrifice, charity, fortitude, and peacefulness. So if one doesn't have all those 12 qualifications, if one has all those 12 qualifications, but is averse to the lotus feet of the lotus-naveled Lord, he is certainly lower than a devotee who is a dog-eater. I consider that devotee who has dedicated his mind, words, activities, health, and life to the Lord to be better. Such a devotee can purify his whole family, whereas the so-called Brahmin cannot purify even himself. Link to the next verse. Hearing Prahlada say that one who has dedicated everything to the Lord is great, but the Lord might question him. I am self-centered, because I am pleased with bhakti unto me. Am I self-centered because I am pleased with bhakti unto me and not with others? Anticipating such a question, Prahlada speaks. Our offerings are for our benefit, not yours. The offerings made to the Lord are meant for his own benefit. The offerings made to the Lord are not meant for his own benefit, as he is always fully satisfied in himself. The Lord mercifully accepts respect from an ignorant person. Whatever worship a person offers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is for that person's benefit. The beauty of a face produces a beautiful reflection. Note, the Lord always glorifies. The word, God, I don't know why I'm having a hard time reading it. The Lord is always glorious, whether the devotee glorifies him or not. But if the devotee engages in glorifying the Lord, the devotee automatically becomes glorious. Link to the next verse. Prahlad's confusions are gone. Since the Lord is pleased by bhakti and not by good birth or wealth, and since respecting him is beneficial for all, Prahlada decided to praise the Lord's glories without consideration of his material position, such as low birth. I will offer prayers as per my ability for my purification. Therefore, having given up the contemplation of being unfit, I offer prayers to the Supreme Controller in full surrender and endeavor, as far as my intelligence allows. Anyone who has been ignorant to enter the material world may be purified of material life if he offers prayers to the Lord and hears his glories. Having made up his mind to offer prayers for his own purification, Prahlada humbly begins his prayers. He once again describes his lower position compared to the demigods, requesting the Lord to give up his anger. The demigods are not fearful like us. They are your servants, situated in sattva. Your pleasing incarnations are your pastimes for your pleasure and for the protection and prosperity of the universe. Link to the next verse. Such pastimes as those of Nrsimhadev are certainly not meant to create a fearful situation for the devotees. But nonetheless, the devotees, being very simple and faithful, were afraid of the fierce incarnation. Therefore, Prahlada requests the Lord to give up his anger. Your present form causes fearlessness. Please give up anger. O Lord, please cease your anger now that you have killed the demon Hiranyakashipu today. Even saintly persons take pleasure in the killing of a scorpion or a snake because they are envious and unnecessarily give suffering to people. All the worlds have achieved great satisfaction because of the death of this demon. Today they will always remember your auspicious form of Nrsimha in order to be free from fear. Link to the next verse. Devotees are not afraid of the Lord's fearful form, seeking the Lord's shelter. O unconquerable Lord, I am not afraid of your most ferocious mouth, tongue, bright sun-like eyes, frowning eyebrows, sharp and pinching teeth, the garland of intestines around your neck, the bloody mane, or high wedge-like ears. Nor do I fear your tumultuous roaring, which makes the elephants flee, or your nails that pierce the enemy. There's a note here. Nrsingadev's fierce appearance was certainly most dangerous for non-devotees, but not for surrendered devotees. A lion is fearsome for other animals, but not for its cubs. Seawater is dreadful for all the living entities on land, but not for a fish. Because it has taken shelter of the big ocean, great elephants are taken away by the flooding river waters of a river. But a small fish can swim opposite the current. Link. Although Prahlada wasn't afraid of the Lord's fearful form, he was afraid of the material existence, samsara, that produces aversion towards the Lord. Actually, Prahlada, being a pure devotee, is not fearful of this world, but he was just representing a conditioned soul. And it's also natural Vaishnava humility. I am afraid of conditioned life. I need your shelter. Lord, who are kind to the fallen souls, I am afraid of the intolerable and ferocious cycle of birth and death. I am thrown into the association of devouring demons, and am bound by the reactions of my past deeds. O insurmountable Lord, when will you call me to the shelter of lotus feet, the ultimate goal for liberation? The Lord might say to Prahlada, what will you do serving my feet? Please enjoy the happiness from the wealth of the three worlds conquered by your father. So if the Lord said to that, Prahlada would respond. Anticipating that, Prahlada responds, because of this material existence, I'm experiencing pleasing and displeasing circumstances, and separation and meeting with friends and enemies. I am suffering in every form of life, as if burning in the fire of lamentation. The material miseries are more miserable than the miseries themselves. O great Lord, kindly instruct me, who is wandering in the cycle of birth and death, in your divine service. I'm going to skip the note. The Lord might say to Prahlada, though you attain service to me, still you should seek out some other solution for the material miseries. Prahlada reveals some anger and pride now. O my Lord Nrsinga, my dearmost well-wisher, I shall chant your glories, following in the footsteps of Lord Brahma and his disciplic succession. By such glorification, I shall easily be purified of the contamination of material modes, and cross over all the miserable conditions of material life. I shall serve you in the association of liberated devotees who constantly meditate on your feet. My Lord Nrsingadev, a father and mother cannot protect their child. A doctor and medicine cannot relieve a patient. A boat on the ocean cannot protect a drowning man. The remedies accepted by people for their miseries in this world are not a shelter at all. O Lord, embodied souls who do not accept you or are not cared by you cannot do anything for their betterment. Why the conditioned souls cannot do anything for their betterment? Your energies manifest everything, including the cause for which people work, the place where they work, the time when they work, the matter due to which they work, the goal of their life, and the process of obtaining that goal. Indeed, since the energy and energetic are identical, all of them are but manifestations of you. The Lord might ask, if I am the form of everything, then I am also samsara. Why do you want liberation from my form of samsara? Prahlada answers this in the next two verses. Your shelter liberates us by your Purusha expansion. You have created the subtle bodies of the jivas through Maya, agitated by time, Kala. Thus the mind entraps the jiva in unlimited desires to be fulfilled by Vedic directions and 16 elements. Who can get free from this wheel of samsara unless he takes your shelter? Link. Why only the Lord can save the entangled conditioned souls? Well, because you are the controller of Maya. and are never conquered by the material qualities. The time element is your representation. I am being crushed by the wheel of time. Kindly take me under your protection. I surrender unto you. Prahlada was not giving importance to this material world because he had the previous experience of seeing his father suffering. So now, the experience of seeing the futility of material pleasures. All right, wow, that was a long beginning. 7:24. We might not be able to get through everything today then. Drishta Maya. Let me just see if anybody else came. Oh, okay, now everybody's there. Dhanwad Vididi, and whoever's watching on the Gaudiya Kirtan live page, and Gargarajji, and Pajumna Prabhu, Mantra Murti Mataji, Dandavat Pranams. Okay. Drishta Maya Divi Vibladishna Panam Ayustriyo Vibhava Ichchati Anjanoyam Yesmat Pito Kupitaha Savrajim Bhru Vispurjitena Lulita Satu Te Nirastha. My dear Lord, people in general want to be elevated to the higher planetary systems for a long duration of life, opulence, and enjoyment. But I have seen all these through the activities of my father. When my father was angry and he laughed sarcastically at all the demigods, they were immediately vanquished simply by seeing the movements of his eyebrows. Yet my father, who is so powerful, has now been vanquished by you within a moment. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Within this material world, one should understand by practical experience the value of material longevity and influence. We have actual experience that even on this planet, there have been many great politicians and military commanders like Napoleon, Hitler, Subhash Chandra Bose, and Gandhi. It's funny, they're all mentioned together. But as soon as their lives are finished, their popularity, influence, and everything else were finished also. Prahlada Maharaj formally gathered the same experience. Prahlada Maharaj formally gathered the same experience by seeing the activities of Hiranyakashipu, his great father. Therefore, Prahlada Maharaj did not give any importance to anything in this material world. No one can maintain his body or material achievements forever. A Vaishnav can understand that nothing within this material world, not even that which is powerful, opulent, or influential, can endure. Any time, such things may be vanquished. And who can vanquish them? The supremacy of Godhead. Therefore, one should conclusively understand that no one is greater than the Supreme Great. Since the Supreme Great demands Sarvadharma Parityaja Mamekam Sharanam Braja, every intelligent man must agree to this proposal. One must surrender unto the Lord to be saved from the wheel of repeated birth, death, old age, and disease. And I think everybody knows what this means, right? Sarvadharma Parityaja, give up all varieties of religion, religious activities, any kind of dharma, and Mam Ekam Sharanam Braja, surrender exclusively, Ekam, one-pointedly, exclusively, to the Lord, to me, Mam. Tasmaramusthanubhritam aham shishogya ayustriyam vibhavam aindriyam avirinchyat namite vilulitang uru vikramena kalatmano panayamam nijabhrita parshvam. My dear Lord, now I have complete experience concerning the worldly opulence, mystic power, longevity, and other material pleasures enjoyed by all living entities, from Lord Brahma down to the ant. As powerful time, you destroy them all. Therefore, because of my experience, I do not wish to possess them. My dear Lord, I request you to place me in touch with your pure devotee and let me serve him as a sincere servant. Purport. By studying Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, every intelligent man can get experience like that of Prahlada Maharaj through the historical incidents mentioned in this great literature of spiritual knowledge. By following in the footsteps of Prahlada Maharaj, one should gain thorough experience that all material opulence is perishable at every moment. Even this body, for which we try to acquire so many sensual pleasures, may perish at any time. The soul, however, is eternal. Nahanyate hanyamane sharire. That's Bhagavad-Gita 2:20. The soul is never vanquished, even when the body is destroyed. An intelligent man, therefore, should care for the happiness of the spirit soul, not for the body. Even if one receives a body with a long duration of life, like those of Lord Brahma and the other great demigods, it will also be destroyed, and therefore an intelligent man should be concerned with the imperishable spirit soul. To save oneself, one must take shelter of a pure devotee. Narottam Das Thakur therefore says, Chariya Vaishnava Seva Nistarapaya Keva. If one gives up the association of Vaishnav, then Nistarapaya Keva, then who will be able to deliver? If one wants to save himself from material sluts, which arise because of the material body, one must become Krishna conscious and try to fully understand Krishna. As stated in Bhagavad-Gita 4:9, Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tattvata. One should understand Krishna in truth, and this one can do only by serving a pure devotee. Thus Prahlada Maharaj prays that Lord Nrsingadev place him in touch with a pure devotee and servant, instead of awarding him material opulence. Every intelligent man within this material world must follow Prahlada Maharaj. Mahajeno yena gata sapanta. Prahlada Maharaj did not want to enjoy the estate left by his father. Rather, he wanted to become a servant of the Lord. The illusory human civilization that perpetually endeavors for happiness through material advancement is rejected by Prahlada Maharaj and those who strictly follow in his footsteps. There are different types of opulence, known technically as bhukti, mukti, and siddhi. Bhukti refers to being situated in a very good position, like a position with the demigods and the higher planetary systems, where one can enjoy material sense gratification to the greatest extent. Mukti refers to being disgusted with material advancement and thus desiring to become one with the Supreme. Siddhi refers to executing a severe type of meditation like that of the yogis to attain 8 kinds of perfection, anima, laghima, mahima, etc. All those who desire some material advancement through bhukti, mukti, or siddhi are punishable in due course of time, and they return to the material activities. Prahlada Maharaj rejected them all. He simply wanted to engage as an apprentice under the guidance of a pure devotee. Kutra shisha shruti sukha mrigatrishni rupa kvedam kale varamashesha rujam viroha date natujano yara apiti vidvan kamanalam madhulavai shamayan durapai. In this material world, every living entity desires some future happiness, which is exactly like a mirage in the desert. Where is water in the desert? Or in other words, where is happiness in this material world? As for this body, what is its value? It is merely a source of various diseases. The so-called philosophers, scientists, and politicians know this very well, but nonetheless, they aspire for temporary happiness. Happiness is very difficult to obtain, but because they are unable to control their senses, they run after the so-called happiness of the material world and never come to the right conclusion. Purport. There is a song in the Bengali language which says, I have constructed this home for happiness, but unfortunately there was a fire, and everything has now been burnt to ashes. Oh, that's Sukera lagia e gara bandino aguna pori agelo, I think. Yeah. It's a song by Is it by Chandidas? I think so. This illustrates the nature of material happiness. Everyone knows it, but nonetheless, one plans to hear or think something very pleasing. Like me. Unfortunately, all of one's plans are annihilated in due course of time. There are many politicians who planned empires, supremacy, and control of the world, but in due course of time, their plans and empires, even nations themselves, were vanquished. Everyone should take lessons from Prahlada Maharaj about how we are engaged in so-called temporary happiness through bodily exercises for sense enjoyment. All of us repeatedly make plans, which are all repeatedly frustrated. Therefore, one should stop plan making. As one cannot stop a blazing fire by constantly pouring ghee upon it, one cannot satisfy oneself by increasing plans for sense enjoyment. The blazing fire is Bhav Mahadavagni, the forest fire of material existence. This forest fire occurs automatically, without endeavor. We want to be happy in the material world, but this will never be possible. We shall simply increase the blazing fire of desires. Our desires cannot be satisfied by illusory thoughts and plans. Rather, we have to follow the instructions of Lord Krishna, Sarva Dharmam Parityaja Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja. Then we shall be happy. Otherwise, in the name of happiness, we shall continue to suffer miserable conditions. Kvaham raja prabhava ishatamodhikesmin jata sure tarakule kvatavannukampa na brahmano natu bhavasya navairamaya yan merpita shirasi padmakara prasada. O my Lord, O Supreme, because I was born in a family full of the hellish material qualities of passion and ignorance, what is my position? And what is to be said of your causeless mercy, which was never offered even to Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, or the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi? You never put your lotus upon their heads, but you have put it on mine. Purport. Prahlada Maharaj was surprised at the causeless mercy of the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For although Prahlada was born in a demoniac family, and although the Lord had never before placed his lotus hand on the head of Brahma, Shiva, or the goddess of fortune, his constant companion, Lord Nrsingadev kindly placed his hand on the head of Prahlada. This is the meaning of causeless mercy. The causeless mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead may be bestowed upon anyone, regardless of his position in this material world. Everyone is eligible to worship the Supreme Lord, irrespective of his material position. This is confirmed in Bhagavad-Gita 14:26. Mam chayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate saguna nityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Srila Prabhupada quotes this all the time also. I'd like to see a word count a usage count for each of these shlokas. It'd be neat to see Srila Prabhupada's most commonly quoted shlokas like it. One who engages in full devotional service, who does not fall down in any circumstance, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. Anyone who engages in continuous devotional service to the Lord is situated in the spiritual world and has nothing to do with the material qualities, Sattvagun, Rajogun, and Tamogun. Because Prahlada Maharaj was situated on the spiritual platform, he had nothing to do with his body, which had been born of the modes of passion and ignorance. The symptoms of passion and ignorance are described in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 1:2-19 as lust and hankering, tada rajastamo kama lobha dayaschaye. Prahlada Maharaj, being a great devotee, thought the body born of his father to be born of passion and ignorance. But because Prahlada was fully engaged in the service of the Lord, his body did not belong to the material world. The pure Vaishnava's body is spiritualized even in this life. For example, when iron is put into a fire, it becomes red hot and is no longer iron, but fire. Similarly, the so-called material bodies of devotees who fully engage in the devotional service of the Lord, being constantly in the fire of spiritual life, have nothing to do with matter, but are spiritualized. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam remarks that the goddess of fortune, the mother of the universe, could not get mercy similar to that which was offered to Prahlada Maharaj. For although the goddess of fortune is always a constant companion of the Supreme Lord, the Lord is more inclined to his devotees. In other words, devotional service is so great that when it is offered by those born in low families, the Lord accepts it as being more valuable than the service offered by the goddess of fortune. Lord Brahma, King Indra, and the other demigods living in the upper planetary systems are situated in a different spirits of consciousness, and therefore they are sometimes troubled by demons. But a devotee, even if situated in the lower planets, enjoys life in Krishna consciousness under any circumstances. Parata svata karmata. As he acts himself, as he acts himself, as he is instructed by others, or as he performs his material activities, he enjoys life in every respect. In this regard, Madhvacharya quotes the following verses which are mentioned in the Brahmatarka. Shri Brahma Brahmi Vindradi Trikatat Stri Purushtuta Necha Karma Deva Sadamukto Smritav Api Hari Bhakto Chattaj Gyane Sukhe Cha Niyamena Tu Parata Svatta Karmato Va Na Katanchit Taranyata. Text 27. Naisha Paravara Bhavato Nanu Syaj Jantorya Tatma Suhrido Jagatas Tatapi Sangsevaya Surataror Ivate Prasadha Sevanurupamudayo Naparavaratvam. Unlike an ordinary living entity, my lord, you do not discriminate between friends and enemies, the favorable and the unfavorable, because for you there is no concept of higher and lower. Nonetheless, you offer your benedictions according to the level of one's service, exactly as a desire tree delivers fruits according to one's desires and makes no distinction between the lower and the higher. Purport. What? Okay, we're reading up to 34, if we get time. 742. Purport. In Bhagavad-Gita 4.11, the Lord clearly says, Ye yatamang prapadyante tans tataiva bhajamyaham. As one surrenders unto me, I reward him accordingly. As stated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jiver Sarupa hoy Krishnera nitidas. Every living entity is an eternal servant of Krishna. According to the service the living entity renders, he automatically receives benedictions from Krishna, who does not make distinctions, thinking, here is a person in an intimate relationship with me, and here is a person I dislike. Krishna advises everyone to surrender unto him, Sarvadharma Paritaja Mamekam Sharanam Braja. One's relationship with the Supreme Lord is in proportion to that surrender, and the service one renders is in proportion to that surrender, and the service one renders unto the Lord. Thus, throughout the entire world, the higher or lower positions of the living entities are selected by the living entities themselves. If one is inclined to dictate that the Lord grants something, one receives benedictions according to his desires. If one wants to be elevated to the higher planetary systems, the heavenly planets, he can be promoted to the place he desires. And if one wants to remain a hog or a pig on earth, the Lord fulfills that desire also. Therefore, one's position is determined by one's desires, responsible for the higher or lower grades of our existence. This is further explained quite definitely in Bhagavad-Gita 9.25 by the Lord himself. Yanti deva vrata devan pitrin yanti pitri vrata bhutani yanti bhuteja yanti mad yajino pimam. Some people want to be promoted to the heavenly planets. Some want to be promoted to Pitriloka, and some want to remain on earth. But if one is interested in returning home back to Godhead, he can be promoted there also. According to the demands of a particular devotee, he receives the result by the grace of the Lord. The Lord does not discriminate, thinking, here is a person favorable to me, and here is a person who is not favorable. Rather, he fulfills the desires of everyone. Therefore, the Shastras enjoin, akama sarvakama va mokshakama udharadi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. The other one is without desire, condition of devotees, or is desirous of all fruitive results, or is after liberation. One should, with all efforts, try to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead for complete perfection, culminating in Krishna consciousness. That's from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 2.3.10. That's an awesome verse. Even if you want material happiness, or you want liberation, you want any of these things other than bhakti, still you should worship. You should still try to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. According to one's position, whether as a devotee, a karmi, or a jnani, whatever one wants, one can get if one fully engages in the service of the Lord. Evam janam, oh God, this is a famous verse. Yeah, okay. Evam janam titam, no it's not. Actually I was thinking of something else. Evam janam, I mean maybe it's a famous, sorry. Evam janam nipatitam prabhavahi kupe kama bhikamam anuya prapatam pasangat kritvatmasat surarshina bhagavat. Let me try that again. Kritvatmasat surarshina bhagavan grihita soham katam nu visrije tava bhrita sevam. My dear Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, because of my association with material desires, one after another, I was gradually falling into a blind well full of snakes, following the general populace. But your servant Narad Muni kindly accepted me as his disciple and instructed me how to achieve this position. Therefore, my first duty is to serve him. How could I leave his service? Oh wow, that's a beautiful verse. Such a beautiful verse. This is one of my favorites, I think, so far in Prahlad's prayers. Purport. As will be seen in later verses, even though Prahlad Maharaj was directly offered all the benedictions he might have desired, he refused to accept such offerings from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. On the contrary, he asked the Lord to engage him in the service of his servant, Narad Muni. This is a symptom of a pure devotee. One should serve the spiritual master first. It is not that one should bypass the spiritual master and desire to serve the Supreme Lord. This is not the principle for a Vaishnava. Narottam Das Thakur says, Tandera charana sevi bhakta sanivas janame janame hoy e abhilash. One should not be anxious to offer direct service to the Lord. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advised that one become a servant of the servant of the servant of the Lord. Gopi Bhartu Padakamalayur Das Das Anudasaha. This is the process for approaching the Supreme Lord. The first service should be rendered to the spiritual master so that by his mercy one can approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. To render service. Let me read that. The first service should be rendered to the spiritual master so that by his mercy one can approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead to render service. While teaching Rupa Goswami, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. One can achieve the seed of devotional service by the mercy of the Guru, the spiritual master, and then by the mercy of Krishna. Because of this whole bhakti being inherent in the jiva issue, and like one of the main proofs he had from Chaitanya Charitamrita. He says, O Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Beach, one achieves the seed of the devotional service by the mercy of Guru. But wait, Srila Prabhupada is just saying here, Guru Krishna Prasade Pai. It's by the mercy of the Guru, the spiritual master, and then by the mercy of Krishna. Which shows it's not like something wasn't there and then all of a sudden it's there. It's a continual thing. They're constantly, giving, and it's by giving it means they're awakening, and that's why it's a continuous thing. It's not like it wasn't there before and then they just gave it and then like that. Otherwise, this wouldn't even make any sense. One can achieve the service by the mercy of Guru and by the mercy of Krishna. Like, well, how can you get it twice? Anyways, whatever. Okay. This is the secret of success. First, one should try to please the spiritual master, and then one should attempt to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also says, Yasya prasadad bhagavat prasado. One should not attempt to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead by concoction. One must first be prepared to serve. One must first be prepared to serve the spiritual master, and when one is qualified, he is automatically offered the platform of direct service to the Lord. Therefore, Prahlada Maharaj proposed that he engage in the service of Narad Muni. He never proposed that he engage directly in the service of the Lord. This is the right conclusion. Therefore, he said, Soham katam visrije tava vritta seva. How can I service of my spiritual master, who has favored me in such a way that I am now able to see you face to face? Prahlada Maharaj prayed to the Lord that he might continue to engage in the service of his spiritual master, Narad Muni. Such an important verse and purport. Mat prana rakshanamananta piturvadhascha manye svabhritta rishi vakyamritam vidhatum kadgam pragrihya yaravochar asar vidhitsus tvam ishvaro maral aparo vatukang harami. My Lord, O unlimited reservoir of transcendental qualities, you have killed my father, Hiranyakashipu, and saved me from his sword. He had said very clearly, if there is any supreme controller than me, let him save you. I shall now sever your head from your body. Therefore, I think that both in saving me and in killing him, you have acted just to prove true the words of your devotee. There is no other cause. Purport. Sorry about this stretch. Okay. In Bhagavad-Gita 9:29, the Lord says, Samoham sarvabhuteshu name dvesho stina priya ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya mai te teshu chapyaham. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is undoubtedly equal to everyone. He has no friend and no enemy. But as one desires benefits from the Lord is very pleased to award them. The lower and higher positions of different living entities are due to their desires, for the Lord, all, fulfills everyone's desires. The killing of Hiranyakashipu and saving Prahlada Maharaj also strictly followed this law of the Supreme Controller's activities. When Prahlad's mother, it looks like there's something missing from here. Okay, 1 second. What verse are we on? I just need to look this up. 29. 7:9:29. Okay. Give me a second here, guys. I'm just opening it on my phone. Okay. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 7:9:29. Okay. Okay, so when Prahlad's anyways, it's the same thing. I guess it's not a mistake. Okay, sorry guys. When Prahlad's mother, this law of the Supreme Controller's activities. When Prahlad's mother, Hiranyakashipu's wife Kayadu, was under the protection of Narad, she prayed for the protection of her son from the enemy, and Narad Muni gave assurance that Prahlad Maharaj would always be saved from the enemy's hand. Strange. That's how it was in the actual book also. Anyways. Thus, when Hiranyakashipu was going to kill Prahlad Maharaj, the Lord saved Prahlad to fulfill his promise in Bhagavad-Gita, Konteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati, and to prove true the words of Narad. The Lord can fulfill many purposes through one action. Thus, the killing of Hiranyakashipu and saving of Prahlad were enacted simultaneously to prove the truthfulness of the Lord's devotee and the fidelity of the Lord himself to his own purpose. The Lord acts only to satisfy the desires of his devotees. Otherwise, he has nothing to do. As confirmed in Vedic language, Natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate. The Lord has nothing to do personally, for everything is done through his different potencies. Parasya shaktir vividaiva shriyate. The Lord has multifarious energies, which everything is done. Thus, when he personally does something, it is to satisfy his devotee. The Lord is known as Bhakta Vatsal because he very much favors his devoted servant. Ekastameva jagaretam amushyatnyatvam adyantayo pritagavasyasi madhyatascha srishtva guna vyatikaram nijasmaya na nevatar avasitastar anupravishta. My dear Lord, you alone manifest yourself as the entire cosmic manifestation, for you existed before the creation, you exist after the annihilation, and you are the maintainer between the beginning and the end. All this is done by your external energy through actions and reactions of the three modes of material nature. Therefore, whatever exists, externally and internally, is you alone. As stated in the Brahma Samhita 535, Eko pyaso rachaitum jagaranda kurtim yat chaktirasti jagaranda chayadyadanta andantarasta paramanu chayantarastam govindamari purusham tamaham bhajami. I worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda, who, by one of his plenary portions, enters the existence of every universe and every atomic particle, and thus unlimitedly manifests his infinite energy all over the material creation. To create this cosmic manifestation, Govinda, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, expands his external energy and thus enters everything in the universe, including the atomic particles. In this way, he exists in the entire cosmic manifestation. Therefore, the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in maintaining his devotees are transcendental, not material. He exists in everything as the cause and effect. He is separate, exists beyond this cosmic manifestation. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad-Gita 9.4. Maya tatam idam sarvam jagar avyaktamurtina matstani sarvabhutani na chaham teshvavastita. The entire cosmic manifestation is but an expansion of the Lord's energy. Everything rests in him. Yet, he exists separately, beyond creation, maintenance, and annihilation. The varieties of creation are performed by his external energy. Because the energy and energetic are one, everything is one. Sarva kala vidam Brahma. Therefore, without Krishna, the part of Brahman, nothing can exist. The difference between the material and spiritual worlds is that his external energy is manifested in the material world, whereas his spiritual energy exists in the spiritual world. Both energies, however, belong to the Supreme Lord, and therefore, in a higher sense, there is no exhibition of material energy because everything is spiritual energy. The energy which is the Lord's all-pervasiveness is not realized. The energy in which the Lord's all-pervasiveness is called material. Otherwise, everything is spiritual. Therefore, Prahlada prays, Ekastam eva jagar etam. You are everything. It's 8 o'clock. Let's just do one more verse, so. Oh, shoot. It's a long purport, though. Oh, okay. I guess we should end here then. All right. Okay, let's just read the translation of the verses that I wanted to do today. 31, just so that we complete the section. You and the cosmos are related as the seed and the tree, are the subtle cause and the gross manifestation. You are the universe, its cause and its effect, yet you are different from it. You also cause its annihilation. Conception of mine and yours is illusory. And then he says Karnadaksha Vishnu, and he talks about Karnadaksha Vishnu and then Garbhadaksha Vishnu. And then Brahma appeared from that lotus. Brahma did severe austerities. Brahma saw your form. You appeared as Hayagriva with the head of a horse. Okay. All right. Hare Krishna. Oh, I'll do Namaste Narasingaya. Namaste Narasingaya. Prahlada Lada Daine. Hinyakashi Purvakshaha. Shilatanka Nakalaye. Ito Nishingo Parato Nishingo. Yato yamitato nishingo. Pahir nishingo hridaye nishingo. Narasingamadim sharanam prapade. Tavakara kamalavare. Nakho marbuta shringa. Dalita hiranyakashipu. Tanu Bringa Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jaya Nishinga Jai Jai Prahlada Jai Jai Nishinga Jai Jai Prahlada Jai Jai Guru Deva Jai Guru Deva Guru Deva Jai Guru Deva Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Jai Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharva Giri Dhari Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Ju ki jai. Govana Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju ki jai. Nityal Pravishtam Vishnu Parashata Rashata Shishmar Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Srila Gurudev ki jai. Nitya Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashatarashatashmad Srila Bhaktivedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Nitya Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashatarashatashmad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitya Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashatarashatashmad Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Nitya Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashatarashatashmad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Nitya Pravishta Maha Bhagavat Srila Gokshadas Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Nitya Pravishta Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Nitya Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannathas Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Shri Rupano Gauriya Guru Varga ki jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopala Bhatta Dashraghunath Shraddha Goswami Prabhu ki jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parsha ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल व्रज मंडल मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय। सर्व अभिष्ट प्रदात गिरिराज महाराज की जय। श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड की जय। श्री यमुना देवी गंगा देवी की जय। श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जय। श्री भक्ति देवी की जय। श्री पूर्णमासी योगमाय की जय। श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जय। श्री भक्ति विघ्न विनाशंकारी श्री नृसिंह भगवान की जय। भक्त प्रवर श्री प्रहलाद महाराज की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। समागत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि वो वृंदाय तुलसी देवाय प्रियाय केशवाय कृष्ण भक्ति प्रददेवी सत्यवताय नमो नमः। वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। Dandava pranams. Hari Bol. All right, so tomorrow I am leaving. I think I'm going to leave Vrindavan at noonish, or maybe before noon, I don't know. But I'll do a reading tomorrow, and then the next reading after that will be in Japan. So, but yeah, we're very close to the end of this section. I think it's only actually in Japan. We'll finish our reading when I'm in Japan. We'll finish the whole pastime of Nrsimhadev and Prahlad. And then it moves on, I think, talking about the 4 varnas and ashrams for a long time. All right. Jai Shri Radhe. See you later. Hari.